Weekend protests, as ugly as they were in parts, has highlighted the issue of immigration in Australia. Mass immigration following the COVID years has taken up key housing, which means it's harder for others to get into the market and has therefore increased unaffordability. And that's been highlighted by comments from the master builders in the AFR today that's found a gap of 36,000 homes every year until the middle of 2029, which means that 1.2 million target is just a mirage. Joining us live now is the Assistant Treasurer, Dan Molino, the Liberal Senator, Jonathon Duniam. Good morning to you both. So, Dan, numbers are dropping when it comes to immigration, but is the government fixed yet on what a permanent net number should be?
So, Pete, thanks for having me on. And look, it is welcome to see the numbers of net migration falling to more sustainable levels. I think we saw migration numbers increase after the 2 years following COVID, when we'd had zero migration, and for a whole series of reasons, including the fact that we had skills shortages across the board. It was necessary that migration numbers increased for a period after that, but then also it was necessary that we reduced migration numbers to more sustainable levels over time, and that's exactly what we're seeing.
So do you have any idea yet on what you want that permanent net number to be?
So I think the numbers that it's dropping towards is what we want to see. And we want to see numbers that are more in line with the long-run average. That's necessary both in terms of us having a skilled migration intake. It's also critical in terms of the health of our university and vet sector, and also important, of course, in terms of our humanitarian intake and family reunion. So there are really important reasons why we need a healthy level of migration, and I think what we are looking towards is migration levels stabilising near the longer-term average.
Okay, so immigration by stealth, it's been over the past few years, particularly after COVID. And as Dan said, Jonathon, it was needed. But where would the opposition like the government to ultimately land on that key net number?
Well, I think it's unwise to just come up with a number in isolation of all of the things you in your introduction there, referred to pressures on housing. And I think we need to get both ends of the equation right here. So we will, of course, go through our processes to make sure that we get a defensible and sustainable policy when it comes to migration out there. But it is important that the government get this right as well. They're the ones with the resources, they're the ones with the data coming into them, they're the ones that have the levers to pull around who comes in and who doesn't. But as I say, getting all of the other end of this problem right, which is ensuring we have houses being built so that we can actually house people when they come here, let alone the people we want to get into a house in Australia as well, is something that they're just not getting right. There are no answers and no clear pathway forward for
Well, I mean, the pathway is looking pretty rocky because, Daniel, on the numbers that were presented by the master builders today in the AFR, I mean, it's another claim that dents your plan for 1.2 million homes within the decade. So do you think you have to revise your housing targets?
Well, Pete, we've got an ambitious target, and that's important because we do need to really move on the supply side. And when it comes to the supply side, we're dealing with some very long-term problems inherited by this government. So it's not something you can change overnight. But what I would say is housing approvals are up for houses year on year, which is a good sign of where the trend is headed. I would also say that coming out of the Economic Reform Roundtable, we saw a really detailed discussion of housing. We also saw a detailed discussion of red tape and regulation across the board. And coming out of that, we've seen a commitment to freeze the National Construction Code, which has been welcomed right across the board. And I think a lot of key stakeholders, including in the construction and the building sector, have said this will make a material difference. And we've also seen a number of measures taken to try to unlock a lot of approvals that have been stuck in processes for a long time. And of course, the government has a series of measures underway, including the Housing Affordability Future Fund, which deals with social and affordable housing, and many other measures, tens of billions of dollars. So this is something where more and more effort is being put in, and I think there are concrete measures coming out of that roundtable which I think will make a difference.
So, Jonathon, how can the government move faster when, and Dan referred to this, you've got three layers of government. You've got federal, state and council, and they've all got competing interests.
Well, I mean, it is not beyond the capacity of the Commonwealth Government to bring everyone together. They do it all of the time. To nut out a plan over multiple layers of government, and that's where state governments have a role to play, bringing local government to the table and cracking a few heads together. I mean, when you have slow land release, you've got appalling environmental approval laws, which sat in our parliament for 3 years last term with no agenda to fix it at all from this government, holding up tens of thousands of housing development proposals across our country. I think there was 36,000 in South East Queensland alone. Those sorts of things they can crack on with. They don't need to talk about it anymore. They can just do it. So I don't understand why there's this fixation on spending billions of dollars through a program that's delivered nothing. I think 17 homes is all that was built last time I checked, but not delivering on the reform that would actually unlock some of the housing supply required out there now.
All right, we'll leave it there, gents. Dan and Jonathan, we'll talk to you again next week.